Hey everybody, what is going on? This is Anthony with the VR Game Rankings YouTube show, and of course you guys are tuned in to our daily vlog series. It is episode 132. This is Wednesday, April 4th, and I know what you're thinking, where the hell were you yesterday? Well, basically guys, I gotta tell you, April 15th is approaching rapidly, and unfortunately, I waited till the last minute and now I am kind of screwed because my taxes, I got to figure this stuff out. Yesterday, I was spending all day with some tax related stuff. Still have not figured everything out. So there could be additional episodes that could have to be missed leading up until April 15th, because I got to tell you folks, as much as I love doing this show, I do not want to get caught up with some type of problem with the IRS. I want to be clean and clear when it comes to any Internal Revenue Service issues. So I want to make sure I get that dialed in. Once my taxes are behind me, the dark clouds that are hovering over me will fade away and everything will be good. So anyway, that's why I missed yesterday's show. But let's go ahead and get into today's show. So what is on the docket today? And the number one topic today is Skyrim VR. Now, this is the story that is going on everywhere. People are talking about Skyrim VR now that it has hit the HTC Vive, it has hit the Oculus Rift, it is available for PC VR. So a lot of people are talking about it nonstop. And I'm going to be a little bit on the contrarian side when it comes to Skyrim VR, because you know what? I mean, I'm not doing this on purpose, but my performance, like what I've experienced so far with Skyrim VR has not been that good. And I'm not exactly sure what the real reason is, but I just know that things have not worked out very well for me in regards to Skyrim VR. So let's go back to Monday night. The very first night that I tried to get into Skyrim VR, I start the game up. I'm in the game, but there's no audio whatsoever. And this is a problem I had a number of times with Fallout 4 VR. I think I've even mentioned it on this show a number of times, where it's like a coin flip. I had a 50-50 chance of actually hearing audio and then a 50% chance no audio whatsoever. And so I had this problem with Fallout 4 VR, and when I experienced it at the very beginning with Skyrim, I was like, oh no, not again, not this again. Now luckily I went ahead and closed everything out, got back into the game, the sound was perfectly fine, and every time I've started it up since that very first time, I have had sound. So that has been the good news. Now, is it all sunshine and rainbows? Not exactly, because I've been in this game and I've had a number of other issues unrelated to the sound. First of all, I have to say that what is up with the color? The game just seems very muted to me in color. It's kind of like if you go back to when you had an old school television back in the day and you would turn the knobs to increase color or turn the color down, or you turn the tint to red, or you turn the tint to green, or your brightness or your contrast, or whatever it is. It's almost like somebody took the color dial and they dialed it almost all the way back to black and white, and then kind of added just a little bit of color, but not that much. There doesn't seem to be a lot of vibrancy, a lot of pop to the game. Again, I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is just my own personal situation, because most people are absolutely ranting and raving about this game. So I'm not sure why my experience is so different to everybody else's. The other thing that I've noticed is there's been a bit of jank in terms of like my sword or my battle axe or my bow and arrow or whatever. Every once in a while I'm playing it, I'll take my sword, I'll swing my sword, and my sword will basically get frozen like halfway through the swing, and it's just stuck like that for like a couple of minutes, and then finally it let goes and I have control of my sword again. So I've been having some weird jank as far as that goes. Of course, we've heard people talk about how there's no real room scale with Skyrim VR. There's no real 3D audio, and I have to kind of agree with that. Now, good news is there is a mod for the 3D audio, so that can be added with a mod. As far as the room scale thing goes, though, it doesn't seem like there is legit room scale with this game. Why, I'm not sure, but you think about it, you would be inside an interior in Skyrim VR, and let's say there's a table over there and there's a chair over there. You would think you'd be able to kind of walk around within a room scale space, and you get closer to the table, you get closer to the chair, the type of room scale feel, right? But it just doesn't seem to have that. I don't know what it is about it, but the room scale seems to be a little bit off. So, I'm really negative with all this stuff, and I know everybody else is positive. In fact, I'm going to bounce over to Reddit right now and give you guys an example of some of the threads that are going on Reddit. Most everybody is very positive on this game. For example, the second biggest story on the Vive subreddit, Skyrim VR is the best VR game out right now. Then you go down a little bit. What are the best Skyrim mods for increased immersion? Then you have somebody saying Skyrim VR isn't perfect, but it is way better than Fallout 4 VR. Then we have Skyrim VR does not properly support room scale. I just kind of talked on that. But you go down, there's more. PSA, Skyrim VR, 3D audio mod works. So there is a mod for 3D audio. Then you have Skyrim and the state of VR. So just a lot of Skyrim discussion. And then if you go to the Oculus subreddit, same type of deal. There's a lot of discussion over on the Oculus subreddit about Skyrim as well. So most everybody is having a great experience with Skyrim. For me, it's just been rather mediocre. Honestly, I almost feel like my PlayStation VR experience was better, which I know that sounds like absolute blasphemy, but the color was better. And also snap turning. Snap turning is a little weird in Skyrim VR for the PC VR version, because on PlayStation VR, when I hit the snap turning button, it was just bam, bam, bam. It felt perfectly fine. There was nothing wrong with it. Skyrim VR and PC, it's like slower, and it gives me almost a little bit of motion sickness when I start doing the snap turning. I don't know why. It's just a little bit weird, but I'm still very early in Skyrim VR, so my opinions, you can pretty much flush them down the toilet for all I care, because really I haven't played it that much, and this is just kind of my initial impression. But what am I going to talk about? Am I going to talk about how it's been wonderful and great when it hasn't? No, I got to be completely honest about the way things have been for me, but again, barely scratched the surface. Hopefully it will get a ton better. Okay, so let's go into story number 2. Story number 2, Island Time VR. Now, luckily, Flight School Studio hooked me up with a key for this game. I was able to try it out a couple of different times yesterday, and so I can give you guys my initial impressions on Island Time VR. And so basically, what is this game all about? Well, what it is you're on a deserted island. You're on a little tiny tropical island in the middle of the ocean. It is incredibly small. This is a tiny, tiny little island. You can barely stand on the thing. And then, of course, you have Carl the Crab. And Carl the Crab is voiced by Greg Miller, who comes to us from IGN and also Kinda Funny Games. Very popular podcaster, very well known in the gaming community, more so with flat gaming, not really known in VR that much. But Greg Miller does the voice of Carl the Crab, and I think he does a pretty damn good job. And one thing I can say in relation to the whole Greg Miller angle is if you're a big Greg Miller fan, I think you are going to get a big bonus from this game compared to if you have no knowledge of Greg Miller whatsoever. And if you're a Greg Miller hater, like if Greg Miller just rubs you the wrong way, you probably actually want to stay away from this game, because he is a non-stop chatterbox during the entire game, and I thought he was pretty good. I thought he was pretty funny. I'm not like a huge Greg Miller fan per se. I've enjoyed him as a podcaster over the years. I listened to a ton of IGN podcasts back in the day. I've listened to a number of the various Kinda Funny podcasts, and I've enjoyed him over the years. So, but I'm not in love with him or anything, but I think he does help the game. I think he actually does a pretty good job. I think his lines are pretty good. Sometimes one of the things you worry about when a celebrity or somebody that isn't used to this gets into a voiceover kind of situation, you kind of worry about them kind of being out of their element and maybe trying to do too much and trying to kind of step out and do a little too much. But I think he actually does a damn good job. I would say I'm kind of surprised at how well he does actually. So Greg Miller is definitely a big part of the overall game. But what are you trying to do in this game? You're trying to survive for as long as possible. You're trying to last for as many minutes as you possibly can. When I first got into this game, I was only lasting like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And, you know, I would end up catching on fire, or I would end up starving because I didn't have enough food or whatever. Now I'm lasting like 10, 15 minutes, a lot longer. And basically, that's the name of the game. You're trying to last as long as you possibly can. You're trying to spend as much time on this island as you can. That's why it's called Island Time VR. You have a little watch that's on your wrist that shows your health, and it also shows how much time you've been on the island. So you have a little health meter, and when that heart starts shrinking, you know you got to eat some food. Now, what food do you have? Well, you can look up at the one palm tree that you have. It has some coconuts. You can take one of these bamboo sticks, smack it up against the palm tree. A couple coconuts will fall down. You grab the coconut, you smash it against the rock. It splits in half, and you can grub on some coconut. There also are some fish that are swimming around, but how are you going to catch the fish? Well, again, you take one of those bamboo rods, you take a rock that you can find, and you start smashing the rock on the bamboo rod, and what it does is it eventually creates a spear, and then all of a sudden you have a spear, and so you stab it, and you stab the fish out of the water, you grab the fish off, and you have a fire pit. But now you got to cook the fish. You can't just eat the fish raw. Believe me, I tried. So what you have to do is you have a log. You go ahead and grab a log. You put it in your fire pit. Now, how do you get your log on fire? I know. You take two rocks together. You scratch them together. It creates some sparks. Voila, now you got a fire going, but make sure you don't catch yourself on fire, which is really easy to do. And if you do, basically the whole island pretty much goes up in flames and it is game over. But what you do is you get your fire going, you grab a couple fish, you put some fish on the Barbie, you let them warm up a little bit. It makes a little noise when they're nice and well cooked. You take them off of there. You can go ahead and grub them or set them down on a little stone bench area there, basically. But then you've got some pesky annoyances that come along. You got these seagulls that are constantly bothering you. They're swooping in, they're stealing your fish. You need to figure out how to get rid of these guys. And so there's a lot of different stuff that's going on in this game. Now, on the downsides, is there a major downside to this game? I'd say the biggest downside is the game has a very small focus. You know, you're just on this island, you're just trying to survive, you're grabbing fish, you're grabbing coconuts, but there's not much more of a depth to it. There is the comedy factor with Carl the Crab, and it is kind of fun for a while, but basically what I'm trying to tell you here is this isn't the kind of game that is going to be holding you over for months or weeks or anything like that. This is kind of short burst entertainment. You'll go into this game, you'll play it for a while, and then maybe move on to something else, or maybe you'll spend an afternoon or two playing this game. But the good news is the price is only $15, so it's not like this is a $40 game or a $30 game or a $25 game or anything like that. It's $15. It's a limited focus experience, but what it does pretty well. I had a pretty good time with it. These are just my first impressions. I'll continue to play it and maybe have a little bit of a more in-depth take on the game a little bit later, but that is Island Time VR. Okay, let's go ahead and move over to story number 3. So story number 3, let's get back to the HTC Vive Pro and the HTC Vive Pro pricing and all of that. The HTC Vive Pro is shipping now. So a lot of people that have ordered their HTC Vive Pros, they're starting to arrive. It's underway. It's started. People are getting their HTC Vive Pros out in the wild, not just YouTubers that get them sent for free. HTC did not send me one for free, but a lot of YouTubers have had them and done their unboxing and their reviews and all of that. Now regular Joes are getting their hand on the HTC Vive Pro. But the reason this is in the news is because we've been talking for a long time. Why isn't there a full package? What about somebody that is brand new that wants an HTC Vive Pro, but they don't have any lighthouses, they don't have any controllers, they got to buy everything individually? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Well, we had the story about a week ago that there was this accessory starter pack that was like $450 or whatever it was that you could add on if you went ahead and put the HTC Vive Pro into your shopping cart on htcvive.com. If you put it in there, there was this option for this Vive accessory pack. Now, the problem with the Vive accessory pack is you were only saving like maybe 70 or 80 bucks. It wasn't that big of a deal, but HTC, they've listened to our cries. They've listened to our pleading, and on April 5th, which is the 2-year anniversary for the HTC Vive, they are going to have a special bonus where basically if you're buying an HTC Vive, they are going to have a special accessory pack for $300, which will get you 2 lighthouses, 2 controllers. Now, this is Steam VR Tracking 1.0, so we're not talking about brand new base stations. We're not talking about blue controllers. This is the regular old school stuff that we've been dealing with for a while now, but it works absolutely fine. And so this basically takes the bundle price of the HTC Vive Pro to $1,100, which is still relatively outrageous, but it's a little bit better than it was before. And I got to tell you, if they had this accessory bundle for $300 back when my lighthouse crapped out on me, I would have bought this bundle. Now, I don't think that it is going to be available just a la carte. I think you pretty much have to buy a Vive Pro to get this $300 deal, but at least it is available. It's a decent package. And so people that want to throw a lot of money at this thing, they can go ahead and do it, and they can get themselves a full package. So that is a good idea. That does start on April 5th. So we'll have to see how that plays itself out. Sprint Vector is in the news. If you guys haven't heard, Sprint Vector has just got a brand new update. So apparently Survios has a partnership with Intel, and this DLC, this free DLC, is being provided courtesy of Intel. And there's also going to be a second update that is going to be coming in May that Intel is providing as well. But this first DLC, you get a new track. The new track is called Outer Vegas. And so what it is, it's kind of this luxury space resort that is located between 2 black holes. And so I went into Sprint Vector. I wanted to check out this course, but you got to go through the process of unlocking it. And I haven't unlocked all the tracks, so I didn't have time to get into Outer Vegas, but it does look pretty cool. Looking at the trailer, it does look like an incredibly colorful and entertaining track, so that is good news. There's a number of other minor fixes that have happened with Sprint Vector as well in relation to this. And then the other thing that we got to talk about in regards to Sprint Vector is it is the free Oculus weekend game this week. So starting tomorrow on Thursday, you can download the full entire version of Sprint Vector 100% free for your Oculus account, and you can play it all weekend long, and you can get a feel for Sprint Vector and see if you really like the game. And I gotta say, when it comes to a free weekend scenario, this is a great opportunity because this is a racing game with a bunch of different tracks, kind of like Mario Kart for VR. And this is going to give everybody a great opportunity to get in there, try a bunch of different tracks, get a feel for the game. Ultimately, my scenario with Sprint Vector is I never could quite come to grips with the controls. Need to try it again, but the last couple of times I tried it, just never quite came to grips with the controls. I like the game, but I gotta say it's a little bit frustrating on the control side of things. But this is an opportunity for everybody out there to get in and see for yourself how you like it. Maybe you'll just absolutely love it. Maybe the controls will work for you and everything will be wonderful. And then the other thing we want to mention with Sprint Vector is this is going to be the second game to be featured in the Rift Gold Rush event. The first one was Brass Tactics last weekend. Last Saturday, you were supposed to get into a Brass Tactics multiplayer game between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. Pacific time. Well, that's the same thing this weekend, except now it is Sprint Vector. So you want to get yourself in a Sprint Vector multiplayer game this Saturday, April 7th, between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. Pacific, and you will be entered to win a whole cavalcade of all kinds of different possible prizes, from a really nice PC gaming rig to tons of Oculus Rift games. All kinds of various prizes are going to be up for grabs. So make sure, download Sprint Vector, give it a try, get yourself entered in to possibly win some prizes. So guys, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up. Once again, sorry about not having that show yesterday. I'm still dealing with some taxes situations that I'm dealing with, kind of like these dark clouds that are floating over me. And so it's possible, I hope I won't have to do this again, but it is possible I might have to miss another show between now and April 15th because I got to get my taxes dialed in. But other than that, everything should be good. Hopefully I will see everybody tomorrow on Thursday. So that's going to go ahead and do it. See you guys tomorrow. Later.